be absolutely fine. I mean, why not?
What
We
could
can do this.
possibly go wrong?
Everything.
Hello, everybody. You may notice that there's a missing person here. And
Yes.
to tell you the truth, we're a little vague on what happened because Paul was here earlier, and then everything went dark on his end, and we think he may have been John Wicked. I'm afraid that he may have mocked the wrong guy, and they've taken him out.
See, I doubt. I'm not sure if he was John Wicked or if his internet connection was John Wicked, because I mean, you've seen how he like baby talks to his dogs. John Wick would never. So
he didn't
think it's
kill him, but he killed his internet connection.
Yeah. So
it's like one step removed.
Right. The treats were not as good. Therefore,
treats were not as good.
Oh no, Rowdy. Maybe Paul was offended by Terry calling him boring.
It's because I saw he titled the episode John Wick is boring, so I was like, no, you're boring.
Gosh.
Because it's a guy thing to do.
Clearly, of course.
Clearly. Well, so you have got renovations going on. We're going to hear bandsaws. Is that's what's going to happen?
So I don't know. I think the bandsaw was outside, but I don't know if there's more going on inside. So we got started on. So certain things have been on sale for part of the renovations, so they've been purchased and set aside. Mm-hmm. So currently in my bedroom there is an additional bathroom vanity and two matching mirrors.
Because one can never have too many bathroom vanities.
Right. And the new toilet is also sitting in my bedroom. So there's no chance anyone's going to mistake that for the actual toilet because it's still like wrapped up. Thank goodness.
I'm sure the cats are very confused. Why is the water bowl in here?
The cats. Well, the cats are more confused because it's bumped up against their cat tree, and they're like, "We have to go around this. What the crap, Mom?" And so stuff is getting done in bits and pieces, but the main thing is to get my old office space turned into a room for my oldest because he's moving back. And so that has started. So the door was put on, the framing was put up, all the drywall heavy things happening. And then we got word that the flooring would arrive today. So that meant last night, after work days and dinner, we had to head out to Big Orange and buy paint. And I think there's something to be said that all I needed was, a piece of the flooring sample. Walking over, and I'm like, okay, sample it, throw that. Nope, put it back. Another one. I got paint picked out in 5 minutes. Dude. 5 minutes, and I had paint all set.
Wow.
Yeah.
Having gone through the whole paint selection thing last year, it did not take me 5 minutes. It took me like an hour plus to find what I wanted.
Well, luckily, the stipulation was that whatever goes in that room, the eldest child had to like, and the mighty Ginger had to like, because once the eldest has a place of his own and he's back to where he needs to be, then that will become the mighty Ginger's office, which is nice because that means it'll have a door. He can close it when he's working from home and doing like conferencing calls.
Keep the cat from tearing up his laptop.
Yes. So laptop, small orange beast, seen here, not innocent. Small orange beast decided at some point yesterday to jump on the mighty Ginger's desk. His setup is very similar to mine. It runs off a laptop, and then there are arms to hold the monitors. Well, said orange cat decided to go and walk on the laptop. Said orange cat's murder hooks have not been trimmed in a while, and she got stuck. And several keys were broken. So, in addition to paying for paint and flooring and all the accoutrements that go with that, we're also paying to repair the laptop. So, but I have a book.
Well, we're going to talk about your book in just a second, but
Okay.
I got to ask an important question. Shiny. It's a laptop.
Oh dear.
Why wasn't the laptop just closed so that the keys weren't exposed?
He never closes the laptop.
Uh-oh.
So but then again, it was, why would he? We assume the cat is not going to walk on there, but now we know.
I'm always panicked about laptops, leaving them open when I'm not there, because goodness only knows what's going to happen to them.
True, but and the other thing, it's elevated on an arm. So I guess there was that.
My advice to the mighty Ginger is close the laptop when you're not using it.
I think that may be a new thing now. Yeah, so that's been my week.
Look at that pretty book behind you.
I know, it's shiny. It's so shiny. So yeah, I did not know. So I didn't know that Bayham was going to send. I should have known, because I've gotten copies of the books before, but I had no idea they were going to send me copies. And so this box arrives, and it's like, what did you order? I don't know. I haven't ordered anything in a while. It's not cat food, and it's not coffee beans. So none of my subscriptions are there. I have no idea. Let me open this. And I opened it and I was like, oh, they're books. This is so cool. But yeah, so it's a hardcover. It's all shiny. And my favorite part is that it's got my bio in the back, my new bio. Oh yeah, sorry, the book. So the book is called The Ship Who Dared, written by Mercedes Lackey and Veronica Giguere. It is the sequel to The Ship Who Searched, written by Anne McCaffrey and Mercedes Lackey. So if I'm going to have any imposter syndrome, I am totally allowed to have imposter syndrome, because those are two big freaking names to follow. And me,
yep.
What the hell? But it officially goes on sale on April 7th. And news I hadn't told like all y'all yet. Somebody gets to narrate her own book. So Existential Crisis will be happy. So I don't know what else I can do, but or what else I can say, but I know it's on my schedule and I am tickled. And the best part is that I don't have to argue with anybody about pronunciation, because I wrote it. So
I think that's great, because getting a narration on a big book may increase the audience of people that are aware of you.
Yes. And the group who has the audio rights is someone for whom I've not narrated yet. So that is also magnificent. And I apologize if I'm being vague, but I don't know how much I can say. The fact that I wrote the book, I think I can say a little bit. But other than big details, I don't know yet. But when I'm allowed to say, I will say. And then,
for those of you joining late, apparently Paul offended John Wick by saying John Wick was boring. But because he's nice to dogs, John Wick didn't kill him, but he did in fact kill Paul's internet.
Yes.
Like within minutes of the show starting, killed his internet.
It was most effectively snipped. So maybe he will, find the team of, network fiber ferrets to fix it. Maybe not. Who knows? But for now, it's just us.
You're just going to have to make do, guys. You're just going to have to make do. It's just us.
Yeah. So what about you, Terry? I mean, it's my renovation turn, so.
Yeah, I'm glad your renovation is going much more smoothly than mine did. I hope that continues.
We have only started.
Through. I hope it continues all the way through that way. The book that I am writing is done. I finished it about 10 minutes before I joined up to meet up with Paul before he got canceled from the show, apparently. Nice. I still have to read about 6 chapters this evening and then send it in. because that's my process. That's what I do. Dictation, you got to go through it because Lord only knows what it changes the words to.
Yes. Yes.
So that'll happen. But I've done a lot of talking over the last couple of days, and my throat is just telling me about it. It is not happy about that.
Oh.
What is going on down there? What is going on? What are you two doing?
Your boys are negotiating with paws.
It's the brothers, Bear and Houdini. So they are having a brotherly spat right now. Oh, there's Paul. He stuck his face in. Blah.
Yep. Alas.
He hasn't returned because he's not here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's watching us. Maybe he's on YouTube. It says he's on YouTube, so he's watching us mock him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the last 10 minutes, yeah, we've been mocking you pretty hard, Paul. That's what you get for throwing shade at John Wick. Seriously, man.
How could you?
Let's see. I finished the book. I'll have it wrapped up and turned in this evening. Donna goes for her knee surgery the 12th of next month.
Oof.
That'll be very exciting because I have no idea how often and when the therapy is going to be for that.
Oh. Yeah, everything's different. Sometimes they want therapy like immediately afterwards. I know when I had my shoulder surgery, they had me like within 48 hours. And to the point where they're like, yeah, you're going to go to therapy and the nurse there is going to take your stitches out. And that was like, okay. But I mean, I'm glad that she is getting it done because that's going to be an amazing upgrade.
They're really talking some smack in there, aren't they?
They are. Wow. Chat is like, chat's going on.
See, it's like he's fallen in shark-filled waters because when he's on the stage here, he's not in chat. Now he's just in chat, so he's at their mercy.
So it's not he's in chat. Is he chum among the sharks?
He is in fact chum.
Goodness.
Bacon flavored chum.
Oh, of course.
Because that's what happens.
Yep.
Let's see what else is going on. I think that's about it for me. It's been pretty quiet for me.
That's a good thing.
Considering how exciting the world has been, today, it's interesting that we've decided to talk about writing action.
True. And action can take many forms. You can have large scale action, or you can have, action between just a handful of characters. So huge space battles or fisticuffs in the back alley.
Or Top Gun.
Or
like
the original Top Gun, not the sequel.
You could have a little Contramps on the bus. I sent you the 10 Rings video of the bus fight.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Which truly fantastic fight scenes and great dialogue.
I like her. Who are you? That's one of the things that I wanted to mention about action scenes. One of the things you have to do when writing an action scene is it can't just be A, B, C, D. Event. You've got to have characters. You've got to have characters thinking. You've got to have characters talking. You've got to have interaction. That's what makes an action scene able to translate to the written word as opposed to the visual. You've got to have the looks inside the characters' heads as they're doing their things, but good dialogue is really important. Snappy one-liners. You got to have a couple of those.
Yes, because you have to give your readers time to breathe and process. Because if it's action, one, just as like human beings, our ability to pay attention comes with starts and stops. And so if you're able to give a pause with good dialogue or some introspection, or even just focusing in, if you've got a huge battle or a huge event, and then you zoom in on one or two characters and give them a moment, and then you go right back into the action, that makes it more enjoyable for the reader. Plus, you're going to remember more about that piece.
If you can insert some humor into it as well, then you're doing really well.
Oh, yeah. Because even in the most dire, dare I say, horrible situations, 9 times out of 10 in real life, somebody's going to have a sense of humor. It could be dark as hell, but they're still going to have a sense of humor. And like poking that, yeah, that's super important.
Yeah, dark humor in the middle of an action scene is pretty classic stuff.
Yes. Yes.
So action scenes in books, do you have any that stand out for you? I hadn't even thought about it before. This question just occurred to me, so I haven't thought about my own. So I'm throwing that out to you while I think and see if there's any that I can, come up with.
All right. Yes. So most of the ones that I've put together, that I've written myself or like collaboratively written, there's one that stands out is one that I wrote for Secret World Chronicle. Probably more than a decade ago. If we go on 2 decades, I'm going to feel really old. But at least a decade ago. And I had to essentially write an explosion in a subway car in Atlanta, the MARTA in Atlanta. And I had to write an explosion, and I had to do it to essentially force a character to change and evolve, because you don't get your metahuman powers unless something stresses you out. And being stuck in a subway car that explodes, probably that's going to do it. So writing that it's the mechanics of knowing what happens, but if you stick with pure mechanics, it's boring. So I had to go in and have the emotion of the character who's going through this to make the scene meaningful and to, hold a reader's attention. And then, by the end, what happens? And I think with some of those with those kinds of action scenes, ramping up and then ending the chapter, super helpful. Because 1, great cliffhanger. And 2, it gives you that emotional pause so that your reader can kind of reset and take a breath. And then you can change perspectives. You can maybe have someone else who is, during that same event and their reaction, or someone who's just walking into it. Or you can, jump ahead 20 minutes and pick up later and see what the aftermath is. But most of the stuff that I've written I don't write big scale battles. That's not something that I've done in my work yet. And I think a lot of my action is more like verbal action. So arguments, dialogue, that kind of emotional action. But yeah, causing stuff to explode on subways. There's that.
James mentions Harry Dresden riding a resurrected T-Rex with a guy playing polka. And that's actually a very amusing scene. I'm not sure how actiony I would call it, but it is, in fact, an interesting scene. The one that I remember, there's a series by Karen Chance based on a character called Dorina Basarab, who is basically the daughter of Dracula. She's a half vampire. She's a dhampir. Mm-hmm. Okay. And Karen Chance has a way of writing things so that things start small and then they just grow bigger, and then they just grow bigger, and they just grow bigger. And the next thing you know, you've got a naked vampire flying out the window and through a windshield on a car with his butt sticking out. And you're like, how did we get here? It seemed so logical, but here we are.
I mean, it's a great, mental image. Because you got to and then with his butt sticking out the window, I'm like, so he's not technically flying through abilities of his own. It was
the dragon blasting him out the side of the house.
Okay, yeah, the force is imparted onto the body, and it continues until something makes it not continue, hence the window.
And of course, the bad guys that were coming to it wasn't bad guys. The people of importance that were coming to talk to him are the ones that are in the car that his butt is now waving around in their face. So it was very humorous. If you've never read that particular series, I heartily recommend it because it's excellent.
Noted. I have a huge TBR at this point. To get through it.
I need to rephrase something. Apparently, I don't know what it was. What did I say? There's no telling what I said.
Who knows? 30 seconds have passed. You expect us to remember? What?
Action scenes can also be complex when you're trying to be realistic, relatively so. Obviously, you're not going to be, you're not going to be the gun expert writing gun scenes for the most part. Authors they normally don't have all the expertise. They're not martial arts masters. They don't know how to wield a katana like a samurai. They sit in basements and type on keyboards rather than getting out and involved with that kind of thing.
Yes. And if you do plan to get that specific, do your damn research, please.
Do a little
talk to people,
anyway.
ask questions. Yeah. So yeah, we're like chat. What has chat said?
They're talking Vampire Moon.
Oh, Matt. Vampire Moon. I knew your ass was going to get us in trouble. That might have to go on a post-it someplace. I might have to hang on to that later. I know in some of the, because I narrate sports romance, some of the action is like in-game action.
Mm-hmm.
And that in those cases, it's rare that the action is meant to further the plot. It's more meant to provide insight into a character, which I think is a huge difference between some other genres. I mean, I've got one on my docket that is it's a dark mafia romance. And because of the action there is action that furthers the plot. There is a dramatic rescue from a burning, apartment building. And so it's not a bunch of fighting, but it's a guy who really should not be running into burning buildings to save the cute girl because she works night shifts and she slept through all of the smoke alarms. So there's action there, but it's interspersed with him, asking where she is, getting all upset, running into the building. We're not detailing how many floors he's going up. You're having that break with the action, and that you're getting his emotion and his take on, oh my gosh, what, why didn't I call her? Why didn't this happen? Why didn't this happen? And then you're back into the action. So it's, again, the smaller scenes where it's just one or two people with the action, it's easy to do that. Now, with what you've written with Empire of Bones, you have some very large space battles with like dozens and hundreds. And what was the count? It was like 250,000 ships in capital F fleet by the end of this.
I haven't the slightest idea. It's been too long. I don't remember.
But it's a lot of ships. And so
there's a certain level of skill that's required to go ahead and have large numbers, but it still be personal enough to where it affects the reader.
Okay.
You can't get lost in the numbers. If you fall down the rabbit hole of getting X many ships and X many missiles and all of this stuff, that's really stepping away from what is connecting with the reader, I think. You've got to have stakes that are important. And if you spread it out too much, then, speaking of spreading it out, oh my gosh, that guy.
Just add
now, like I was saying, if you spread it out too much, then you're going to lose the connection to the reader, and that can be problematic. And speaking of problematic, here's Paul. We hear that John Wick killed your internet.
You may have. It's possible. Howdy, folks. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. They happen. No, it's not alive. It's all.
So tell us more. Matt. What happened?
I have no idea. I think one of my routers took a shit, and I took it away, and I've still got a wireless signal, but it's going to be a little choppy, probably, because the booster I think is dead. So we'll see.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's one of those days.
I understand. That was yesterday. Just one ridiculous thing after another, and finally it was like, can I just go to bed?
Paul, at least you didn't have one of your cats rip all of your keys off of your keyboard.
Yeah.
What? Okay, I missed that.
You missed that story.
You missed.
Yes,
okay,
apparently.
So recap. That one, small, fluffy orange, climbed on top of the Mighty Ginger's keyboard for his big Dell Alienware that he uses for his home work computer. It is a huge laptop on an arm, and then the other things. Her murder mittens have not been clipped in a while. She got stuck, panicked, and now there is a $200 repair fee because the way that the laptop is put together, you don't want to repair it by yourself.
Oh, man. That's bad.
So, yeah. So it's, there was a lot of annoyance yesterday before dinner. And it was, again, this is, in After Dark, I'll tell you the other home reno annoyances that have led up to this, that have stoked my Scorpio levels of wanting revenge in some way, shape, or form. But that's for After Dark. So needless to say, how the hell are you?
So you're drinking tequila, is that what you're telling me?
I can't. It'll mess with my meds.
Oh.
This is my third cup of coffee today, so woohoo, living on the edge.
Well, it doesn't look like I'm going to get one because I'm here. I was supposed to be making my coffee while I was troubleshooting my internet, so it's going to be a dry episode. That's
well, you could have made coffee before you showed up because it's not like we'd have known you had it fixed 10 minutes later.
Well, I figured I'd better get on here since I started a shooting war at the very beginning of this just by the title of the episode.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. You throwing shade and then getting knocked out of the whole competition was pretty damn funny.
The reason why I chose that particular title, I've seen all the John Wick movies. I enjoy them, but spoilers, but not really spoilers.
Lots of people die.
The stairs scene is gratuitous to ridiculous proportions. It is just, I roll my eyes every time they killed somebody on that whole thing.
But isn't that like the last? That's the most recent movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so at that point, you're not necessarily writing for. You're not writing to get people into the fandom.
No, it's
you
spectacle.
are writing for the fandom.
I know it's spectacle, and it's basically a lot of fan service, and I get that. But it's just when he posted this about John Wick being, could you really write John Wick as a book? I think it would be very difficult to keep it from being boring, because I think it would be better if the other people who he was killing were telling the story rather than him. I think that's the way you would have to do that. Because the man doesn't seem to have an interior monologue. I'm not really sure he even thinks in words.
This feels like a totally like other episode. Oh, yeah. Okay.
What a
I'm gonna forget.
Kitty. Pretty kitty.
Oh. Okay. So for those who are listening, Matt has gone and posted a picture of the cat distribution system all the way in Wales choosing him. And it is a very, very sweet little tabby stripe with a little pale face and dark eyes and little triangle ears.
Sad.
So.
You have obviously never read Waylander. No, I have not. I have no idea what that is.
Huh.
Yeah. I have a really lengthy action scene. Well, let's face it, but when you have a space battle, it's going to be long. It's going to be long if it's for real. And depending on how epic it is and everything else, there's a lot of shit that's got to go on. Because if you've got a lot of characters like you tend to do in space opera, you got to have them all doing something. They've all got to be doing something if they're important to the story. So they've all got to be engaged in whatever that is. And even for the people who are sitting there, reading readouts and doing, figuring out how to command things, even if they're not in the ships necessarily, there's still that element of suspense and action that's going on, even though it's just words and people talking.
Mm-hmm.
There's still that element to it to keep things moving, even in the quiet moments where you have to have the space between those action beats. The reason John Wick wouldn't work is if I tried to put that stair scene, me personally looking at that, I would be bored to death as a reader if you had to describe each little dude that he whacks on his way up the stairs. Keep in mind he does it twice.
Things don't matter in the same way between the visual media and the written media, though.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was my entire point. I grew up on action adventure. I know Terry kind of did too. Mac Bolan and the like and stuff like that.
Mac Bolan, the Destroyer.
Yeah, Destroyer.
Destroyer's awesome.
I was way too young to be reading the Destroyer. Holy shit!
Chun.
Way too much sex for my age.
We need to have more Chun in the world.
Yeah, I was not. That wasn't. Well, and that's the thing. The stuff that I wound up reading was a lot more. It was generally more character driven, except by the time I was like halfway through high school, I started reading a lot of Tom Clancy, and depending upon which ones you read, there was action, but it didn't always feel like action, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because sometimes action requires tension, and sometimes your POV, even if it's I think sometimes third person omniscient can be so far removed that you lose tension, or your main character is trying to keep a level head, and they do it too well. And so you don't get that level of worry.
Level of intimacy, I think, is what you're getting at. This kind of required.
Mm-hmm.
If I sit there and I have a character sculpting something, the action is the sculpting. But let's face it, sculpting is going to be pretty damn boring, describing every sculpting every piece, because it's very much going to be the same thing. You could just basically talk about it, basically thumbing to put around the ribs while he's thinking about something completely else. because it's the else that we're interested in. The sculpting is merely to do a couple of things, which is to kind of show this person's determination, their artistic capabilities, and exactly what kind of art they're trying to create. Meanwhile, they could be thinking about McDonald's French fries in their freaking head while they're having a narrative deal on whatever it is they're doing.
I can't imagine somebody successfully sculpting anything while thinking about something different than what they're doing. That seems like a very intense, focused sort of task.
No.
Well, yes, but there are parts where you have to splash stuff with water and you're moving things around and you're not actually doing the technical bits.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's maybe we need to differentiate between like capital A action, where we're talking like fights, battle scenes, stuff that honestly is like moving the plot of the story on.
Yeah.
Or it's really, it's that action is necessary to completely further the character in the story, versus lowercase action, which is, I think, what you're describing, Paul, which is like doing something so that there's time to think and process.
Right. So we're not just sitting static. We're doing, the character is not like frozen in time.
Right. Because you're sitting there, you know, how can you think about something? Half the time if I'm crocheting, I might be counting stitches, but if it's something where it's not very complex, I do that to let my mind wander. It's just, it's something to go through. So there can be actions like that. Somebody who's woodworking.
Yeah.
It may be so rote, you get to a point and that action is there to allow time for, you know, something to happen. Driving someplace.
Oh God, yes. Driving's a
Running.
good place to have a pause.
Yeah. Someone who goes running or jogging or biking, physical activities.
I thought they were called chips, Matt. Or they call them French fries in Wales.
He knows what they are.
I'm just starting shit to start him.
He's multicultural, gosh darn it.
Yes, he is. He certainly is. The heart of what we do is basically describing what people are doing or what's happening to them, what they're experiencing, what their response is.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't always have to have action, but you need to think of it, and as far as I'm concerned, as action beats, even though there may not be any specific action. Because two characters bumping into each other, there has to be a reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to make something of it. There's a reason why you're including that. What is the reason? So there must be some kind of narrative action that is going on to make all that happen. I'm just dissecting things down to an analytical level. It doesn't really change how you do stuff. It's just interesting if you try and pull it apart, and if we go with a certain definition, it's how we, it's basically how we see it, how we interpret it, and then go forward with it.
There was a comic that I'd read pieces of on Facebook yesterday, the day before yesterday. It was X-Men related stuff. Mm-hmm. And it cast some light on the character in the actions that he was portraying. Wolverine in the comics, apparently his fiancée was poisoned and died. And he had to be the one to put her down because she asked him to. And his revenge on the person that poisoned her was not to kill him. It was every year on the anniversary of her death, he would track him down and take something from him. Ear, finger, eye,
wow,
something.
So very much to the pain, not to the
to the pain.
Ow. Yeah, that ain't the Hugh Jackman Wolverine. That's a totally different Wolverine there.
That's a scary Wolverine right there.
That's a scary Wolverine. That ain't the kind of Wolverine I want my kids worshiping now.
I got nothing.
I feel your pain, Rowdy. It's 84, I know, and the AC is cranking. I know my room is hot because I turned off my fan. It's horrible. It's awful. What the fuck happened to February? Yes, 84 Fahrenheit. Matt says we did some gardening today. Had to scare the penguins away after chipping dogs off lampposts. We live a little bit further south than you do.
It is not 84 degrees where I am, because there's a front coming through. So it's
we had that front.
nice outside.
Now we're fooked. Reminds me of the guy Thanos visits on their birthday to ruin it. Nice. What nice people. What nice people. So what other kind of fury did I miss while I was gone, chat?
Well, they were mocking you pretty badly.
Why were you marking me of all people?
Because you weren't here.
Because you're worthy of mocking. It seems fairly legit to me.
You were so much trouble. Oh, I'm over 90,000 in on narrating Extinction.
Excellent.
And the chapters are starting to fly because, speaking of action, there's a lot of action coming. Because we're getting toward the end of the book, so naturally we have to be epic, and it will be epic. Trust me. If you're listening to it, I can't wait to put out the next few chapters.
So Thanos shows up to some regular dude every year on his birthday to ruin his birthday. That seems a little petty.
Seems a little excessive.
Right, because Thanos is totally known for moderation.
I know, but he's like ultra powerful, and he shows up to ruin some guy's birthday. Some random dude.
That's
I
like
guess everybody needs a hobby.
It's like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, there's a character who is, what was he? There was some kind of accident and now he has to live forever. And so he just travels through time and he has to tell everyone they're an asshole or whatever insult he does. So he just appears out of nowhere, tells them they're a right cunt, and then turns around and leaves. And he does it all through time and space. He just got a list of every single person out there in the universe. It's quite funny.
You know what I think would be funny? If he appears in front of himself and they're both staring at each other going, wow, this is unexpected, and then proceed to tell each other what cunts they are.
I mean,
there's something wrong with Douglas Adams. There was something very, very wrong and right with him. I love that whole scene. It was absolutely hilarious. Okay, where are we? I think I met that guy several times. Oh, Matt. One year Thanos didn't show up because of the blip. I don't know, my lord. I got no idea what the hell are you talking about.
Boy, if Thanos didn't show up to ruin your birthday, I'd be on pins and needles. Okay, what's going on? What's going to happen now?
Did he?
well, I mean, in that case, if he could have snapped and that guy was just not there for 5 years, so there wouldn't be birthdays to show up to.
Oh, I guarantee that if he was, eliminating half the people in the universe, he would keep the one that he is torturing alive.
That probably makes
But could
sense.
he choose? Was he able to choose? I didn't think he could choose.
Maybe he expended his choosing power for that one guy.
Mm.
Wouldn't it have been funny if he'd have snapped his finger and he was on the half that died?
That would have made for a real short trilogy.
It would be like if the Eagles just took the Hobbits over to the, just dump the ring in without having to do any of that other bullshit. The whole thing would just be, over in about 1/8 of the size of the books.
There's a thing on Facebook that shows this is the Lord of the Rings. This is the Lord of the Rings when the hobbits have a sniper rifle. And there was a picture of the hobbits there, one of them with the gun and the other one doing the sighting.
Oh my God. It's just wrong.
Those two troublemakers, and they were troublemakers.
Not really, because he would die doing what he wanted. After that, he just became a farmer. To whom are we speaking? Whom are we talking about?
I mean, hobbits. Are you talking
Thanos.
Samwise Gamgee? Because
Thanos.
or
Not that any of Marvel
No,
makes any
Marvel's
plot sense. It's just madness and fun. Well, the moment you add the idea of a multiverse, it all goes out the window. The lore is so elastic that it's impossible to know what the hell's going on. Let's see. Matt says, villain in film monologues. Me if I was the villain, bang, game over, disappear quietly without running. Yeah. How much dialogue do you give your villains? Do you have monologuing villains, Terry?
Well, I'm not sure that I quite get to the monologuing stage. I definitely have them say a few things, but it's usually brief.
Usually brief. What about you, V?
So okay, I've got Sequel Chronicle. We had a monologuing villain. We leaned to that stereotype hard, and it was great because towards the end, he did get his comeuppance, and essentially he wound up turning into a brain in a box, which it was his absolute worst thing because he can't talk. Oh darn, but he's still technically alive. And with the stuff I've written, there was never like a big villain. It was more like corporate stuff. So smaller entities, smaller representatives of that. Yeah, they talked somewhat, but not really monologuing. And then for the rom-com stuff I do, yes, the villains talk, but they don't monologue. They say some pretty horrible, nasty shit, but it's a rom-com. They lose in the end. They have to.
Xander says, to be a proper villain, you need to do a monologue. Be theatrical, else you're just an evil asshole, and those aren't the same things.
Well, okay, so I think sometimes with your villains, you could have internal monologue. If you have close third-person POV and that's a POV for a book, absolutely you can be monologuing. But I don't know.
Have you ever had a hero monologue?
The only time that would happen for me is if they were if it was doing a Hercule Poirot. Yeah, when they're actually describing what happened, they're solving the mystery in front of everybody. That's the only time that would happen. Otherwise, not really.
Again, superheroes has happened. Have written it.
How can it not happen with superheroes?
I mean, it. My favorite one is that I had a hero. So essentially, it was a hero and villain monologuing back and forth at each other.
Oh no, a monologue battle.
But the problem was that the hero in that, the only reason that he was able to monologue was because there was a substance that more or less nullified part of his mutation and gave him his scientific professor brain mouth connection back, essentially. So he wasn't just big, strong, and dumb, but he was like, this is the person he was before the mutation happened, which was a brilliant scientist. And so having him monologue and explain and then deteriorate and then get to the very end. But the very end was, well, now you're just in trouble. And then into the action. Because the hero monologuing was a delay tactic so that other things could.
Oh, no. Okay, well, that makes sense.
Rowdy says more lawyer villains equal more monologues. And I just want to go ahead and see a monologuing villain with a lawyer there stopping and going, he's not going to answer that question.
Or, you should not have said that. You should not have said that.
I can't hear you say those words without thinking of Harry Potter. Oh, shouldn't have said that.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was thinking of, actually.
Yep.
So it's channeling hatred. I understand what you're getting at with villains, Xander, but at the same time, isn't that such a stereotype? One thing I really loathe about the Bond villains is they're almost all the same. They've got a monologue, they're rich assholes, they do this, that, and the other, and they're just kind of dicks. And it's always the same.
This feels like
it's rather infuriating.
Yeah. I mean, granted, this feels like a good topic for another show, but Bond movies, the vast majority of them, they're monster of the week.
Yeah, of course they are.
Because Bond doesn't change.
It to death.
The villains don't change. It's formulaic to a fault. Nobody changes. It may as well be, Scooby-Doo minus, 4 characters. Well, 3 characters and a dog with just, a Aston Martin rather than a mystery machine. What? I mean,
I like that. I like that a lot. Harsh words. Some cold truths being passed out here.
But I mean, yeah, there's no change, except I think towards once you had the Daniel Craig Bond, you do have some actual character changes and like slight evolution, but I think that's the writing of those movies and what they allowed him to do with the character.
Yeah, they allowed some growth in there. It's the only time that they allowed growth, really.
Yeah.
In my humble estimation.
Otherwise,
I haven't seen the final movie. I understand it's very good, but I haven't seen it.
I forget if I saw it. Oh dear, Xander, you put a game changer. I'm gonna have to watch that later. That's a rabbit hole I cannot go down. I will be watching Game Changer episodes for a while.
The hell is Game Changer?
Dropout TV. It is fantastic. It is nerdy, geeky improv humor.
Okay.
It's great.
A lawyer defending a villain. What could go wrong? I'll have to look at that later, Xander. Let's see. With Monster of the Week, don't you end up getting invested in the characters rather than invested in the story? Well, yes. Like a TV series you enjoy but couldn't say what half of the stories were. Yes, unless you were looking at the main plot. Because every successful franchise that I can think of has got one main plot. Like in the X-Files, it's the abduction. Right? Mm-hmm. For the first 4 or 5 seasons, it's the abduction thing. Actually, it's the oil. You get that basically it's the oil is the evil alien invasion that's coming down and everything else and how they solve that. And the last 3 seasons, I think, were the Super Soldier one. So all these episodes that don't have to deal with those main plots are Monster of the Week.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely Monster of the Week. And they rarely have too much effect on our characters by themselves. So it's really interesting to watch how those shows are written, because you can pick them apart and see the throwaway episodes versus the episodes where you can tell that the writers were trying to push something else forward with this seemingly unrelated incident. And that's when it gets fun. So if you're going to write that kind of stuff, that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, Monster of the Week is fun. I like Monster of the Week.
Yeah, best example I have of that is the original Sailor Moon episodes. Classic Monster of the Week, but there are arcs that go through. When they redid the series, they cut the first season down. It was really condensed. Like, you went from dozens and dozens of episodes to 20, 26, because they kept the main Monster of the Week things that contributed to the big storylines, but everything else that was just, silly little grab, nope, that was gone, because they elevated the animation. It went to more of a manga style, and they wanted to keep it tidy so that people could sit down and, binge all of, the entire arc from beginning to Sailor Star. Yeah, Stars. Which truly hadn't hadn't been as widely syndicated in the original version. So it was a lot stuff that was a lot more accessible. But they could do it because they trimmed out the superfluous things, and nobody missed it. I didn't miss it. Says the person who used to run a Sailor Moon fanfiction website. So I was invested in this.
Terry, your space opera is basically just Monsters of the Week?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I've got long arcs that are going in the stories that I write. And so they're not fighting a different enemy every week. They're fighting the same enemy, though there may be revelations about that enemy as they go along. There are occasionally specific villains that fall by the wayside, because you can't have a long series without chopping some heads along the way. But the overarching storyline and plot have villains that, or enemies or events that have to be dealt with over, for example, 16 books.
So you got the villain of the book, and then you've got the overarching villains or threats that are hanging out there. So you are writing a Monster of the Week.
No, absolutely not. Monster of the Week doesn't have an overarching threat. It stands on its own.
Yes and no. Again, depends on how you're writing it.
I'm going to say that when you're watching Monster of the Week shows, you're not going to find very many at all anywhere that have the events of that particular Monster of the Week bleed over into other stories inside that same storyline. It's going to be a rarity.
Buffy, Angel.
Right. But I think some Monster of the Week, if you take Scooby-Doo, for example, classic Monster of the Week. James pointed out Supernatural, another good Monster of the Week. Scooby-Doo is regular Monster of the Week because you can watch those episodes out of order. And you're not missing anything. That is a perfect example of Monster of the Week, because the characters tie stuff together, but there's no evolution of the characters. Whereas something like Buffy, something like Supernatural, where it does follow a Monster of the Week model, you miss certain things about the characters if you try to watch it out of order. Some things will not make sense.
If you're looking for a writer that does Monster of the Week, Clive Cussler. If you read any Clive Cussler novel about Dirk Pitt, other than after the fact when he found his children and they became part of the storyline, any story before or after, you could mix them all up and you wouldn't have any clue what the actual order is supposed to be, because the events that occurred before or after really played no part.
Right. It's just another win at some point in the past. So nothing really carries over.
You could not do that with my stories. If you try to take them out of order, it does not work.
How dare you? How dare you? I actually got dinged on a review that basically said I lost points for someone having had to read The Black before being able to enjoy the third book in the series.
Boy, they really took The Black personally, didn't they?
Get fucked.
Really?
If you're reading just pick up the third book in the series and start. What the fuck do you expect? Seriously.
I want my book to work, Louis. I want my book to work.
Yeah. Now, some books and series you can do that because authors provide enough stuff there, but you may not appreciate all of it. Why would you put that in a review if we're talking about a series? Like, dude, why?
Maybe he didn't realize The Black was actually, part of the series. Maybe he didn't think that this was a series. One of the things you need to keep in mind is, Paul, you got to accept these reviews with a grain of salt, because I know one author on Facebook posted the review where he was dinged with 1 star for not having 36 sausage patties in the package.
I know.
So
I know.
you have not achieved that level of success yet.
No, I just thought that was a particularly hilarious review, because it's like I was thinking about you in particular. Another space opera that I've read, like for instance, if you picked up, book 2 of Peter F. Hamilton's Commonwealth Saga, you would be lost. You would have no fucking clue what's going on, because you would be missing almost 1,000 words of context. 1,000 pages of context.
What you should do as an author is you could go, what we have here is a failure to communicate.
I buy his book, I read his book, I scratch Ted, I complain and review. Okay, Matt. That's wonderful. On that note, it's been an hour, although I haven't been here an hour, but you know.
You know, it seems like you cheated.
I know, it does.
You're getting out of here with only half an hour of effort? What's going on here, man?
I'm going to be nice and fresh for After Dark.
Oh, I don't know if a fresh Paul is what we need.
I got nothing.
If you'd like, send us an email about the show for comments or questions, you can find us at the show at deadrobotsociety.com, or you can visit our site, deadrobotsociety.com, punch that comment button, and we will get to it. If you want to see us on the YouTube, you go to youtube.com/DRS Podcast, where we're live every Saturday at 3 p.m. CST. Like and subscribe so you know when we're live. Why is my co-host completely losing it? Because I said on the old YouTube?
Because you're putting an article before the social media site, and
on the YouTubes.
I want a little. I need a little.
I had a moment. I had a moment that challenged the channel my dad. Sorry about that.
Again.
I hope you continue to have interwebs service while we are in the After Dark.
Oh, dear God. And if you want to support the show, why the hell would you? You can find us at patreon.com/DRS Podcast and buymeacoffee.com/DRS Podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive live shows like the one that's coming up in just a few moments.
Where Paul promises to be fresh.
I ain't promised nothing. I have not promised anything. You should know that by now. And if you subscribe at the $10 level, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are Juan Valentin, James Terrell, Nate Cole, Xander, Antoine Batts, Lisa Slack, and Tim Niederreiter. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible. Everyone go to the After Dark. Come to the After Dark. Things are going to get interesting over there. We may have live chickens and stuff. We're out of here. See you next week.
I cannot.
Wow.